Hello, welcome back. Today we are still talking about sales stages, and now we are on to the propose stage. So this stage is the propose stage, and the one afterwards is negotiation. This is the sales ops effect where we drive predictable growth in small to medium-sized businesses. Now, you might think that they're the same stage pretty much because you're doing pretty much the same thing. And in some companies, they are. In some companies, you can roll everything into this one stage, just whatever works for you and your company, right? But we're going to talk about them separately because if you do have them separated, that can help if there are a number of things that you need to do, or if you're doing it yourself, you tracking your time to make sure that you're covering everything when it comes to the proposal. So if you've had the deal validated and you know this is definitely something that you want to submit a proposal to, there's a number of things that you have to check. You would have been checking your price, how much you're coming in at, and what the offerings are and everything. Ideally, like we said, that would have been done in the stage before. If you didn't have a stage before, this is where you'd be doing it. And you get that all sorted out, you get it checked out with legal. If you don't have legal because you're a micro business, then you would have already had your proposal contract ready that has your terms and conditions in it. But, in your conversations with the client, you'd know if there was anything that needs to be adjusted. So you do have to make sure everything is squeaky clean before you send it out to your clients. And that's the reason why I prefer to have it as a stage on its own, because if it does have to go through multiple people, or if there are multiple checks that need to be done, if you are updating your CRM, ideally you are, with the specifics of what that client needs, then you would have been having conversations this whole time and things would have been changed. So it's something where sometimes salespeople can think, oh, I already know everything is in my head. And that's all well and good, but none of us are, superhuman. We can forget things. And that's the reason why I quite like having this as its own stage, because it forces you to take the time to make sure that what the proposal that you're submitting is accurate. There's nothing worse than sending out a proposal after you've been having this great relationship with the client, and it's riddled with errors that are really, really obvious just because you thought it was just a routine thing and you went boom, 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 it's done. And again, so this stage is for the kind of clients that require proposals. If you've got a business that doesn't require a proposal because everything is just there on the website, like they're just buying something that is straightforward like that, then that is effectively what it is, but it isn't a stage in and of itself, right? Or it could be, depending on how you worded it. If you don't know what I mean by that, go back to the first episode where we're talking about sales stages. But you sort everything out and you get it sent off. Ideally, well, not ideally, but generally speaking, these days, it's via a service like DocuSign. Other services are available where people can sign online rather than the olden days where you'd have to print it out and then sign it by hand and then scan it and send it back, or even fax it over. We had fax machines that were loud. We don't have to do that anymore. But making sure that you've got that system set up and that it goes through the system appropriately. Depending on your size of your business, you might have it all integrated in your CRM anyway, so that you send it out via the CRM rather than via your email directly. And that's one of those things where, again, depending on the kind of business that you've got, you want to make sure if that's the process, people need to be following that process, because there'll be other things, other checks and balances that are involved in it. If you don't have that kind of system and you do it the very manual way, you're running a business for yourself and you're doing your own sales, you might not be doing it via that. You might be just having the PDF ready in DocuSign yourself and you send it out via DocuSign or whatever other software that you're using. But again, I like to keep it as its own stage because people do sometimes accidentally miss steps. And, we've already done the first impressions of the client. But like I said, if you do, you've got this great relationship and then you send something over and it's got something really glaringly wrong, then, buyers get scared. So if something is really glaringly wrong and you send something over, it might make them think, oh, I might take a little bit longer to sign this. I might ask a couple more questions. And that's not always the case. And human error, things do happen. But that's why I like it to be its own stage, because if you're doing it for yourself, it forces you to just spend the time doing it properly. And if you're managing the sales ops for an organization that has the processes written out, sometimes people do like to just go a different way around. Oh, we don't need to go via this process because I know this person, etc. But each bit of a process usually links to something else. And if you miss doing it this way and you just do it that way, then other checks and balances might not be there, you know? So if you're running sales ops for a small organization, a startup, then the keeping your operations and delivery team updated about where sales are is really helpful, because they're just doing business as usual, seeing to your clients all the time. But to plan their resources, they're going to want to know when deals are coming down the line. And they do not care about deals that are in the qualify stage, but they definitely do care when deals get to validate stage, when deals get to proposal stage, because that means there's a very high chance, much higher than it was at qualify stage anyway, a very high chance that this new deal could be coming in. And if this new deal is coming in, then the operations teams need to make sure that they've got the resources available. That's the whole point of the deal review stage and things like that. But because there are still stages after that, they would still very much appreciate it. I know they've appreciated when I've sent these reports to them to say, hey, this is what your funnel looks like. So these are the ones that could possibly be coming down the line. So when you're thinking about planning, when you're thinking about authorizing holidays and things like that, remember that in August, we're actually going to have a bigger one than usual, or we're likely to have a bigger one than usual. So just keep that in mind, because communicating with people, communicating with the rest of the business, it gets poo-pooed a lot. Like, everybody knows, oh yeah, we need to communicate and whatever, but people don't fully understand why. And it's because you might think something is really simple and everybody knows about it, but you don't. That's your own silo. That's your own world. Sometimes there's key bits of information that really key people in different parts of the business don't know about because no one has actually told them. Everybody has just assumed that everybody must know about this because it's a big thing, because you're talking about it all the time, because people in your circle of about 5 or 6 people are talking about it all the time. But this whole side of the business doesn't know because one person hasn't told them. So, you know, we've all had it, many of us have had experiences of being in businesses where the grapevine is so hot. Everybody just hears through the grapevine rather than officially. And it's not something that should be relied upon. I think some businesses, rather than fighting against it like they used to do back in the days, which is, I'm telling you this, and if you tell anybody else, then grr, people just rely on the grapevine now. And that doesn't help either, because then you get whispers that get altered because they're not coming from a direct line. It's just this person understood this way, and so that's why they're telling this person this, and so on and so forth. But when you have stages and everybody knows what the stages mean, then when they're getting a standard report, you don't even need to have that conversation all the time. That just means somebody can look at the report and say, oh, this has changed. That's a flag. Maybe I should go and take a look at this. You know, that's why all of these things are important. So in the next episode, we will be talking about negotiation. Again, like I said, sometimes that is in the same stage as propose, but I like to keep it as separate for reasons that I'll go through the next time around. So I hope you enjoy that. Please let me know your thoughts about whether you would mix the two or not. And I want you to know that there is no right way, again, how to do this, and the wording and things like that. Please, please, please be assured that you can choose the language that works for your business. So if I'm saying something that's a little bit different from how you understand it, the labeling for it, please don't worry. Okay, there's no rule book. No, there's no firm rule book on all of this. So this has been great. We'll be talking about negotiation next time. And in the meantime, go and check out the freebie that I have for you guys. It's a new resource that I created, which is some examples, some questions and answers that I've done. They're example questions that have been asked of me in my one-to-one direction call. So there'll be a link to that in the show notes, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please look at the list of other episodes. I'm sure there's another one that can help you. See you next time.